I don't remember the crash itself, just the sound, that metallic shriek, and then quiet. Not the kind of quiet you get in nature, but the kind that feels like the world's been muted. When I woke up, I was already in the hospital bed. White sheets, clean, stiff. A fluorescent light buzzed above me. The air smelled like antiseptic and warm dust, that faint tang that only exists in old hospitals. For a second, I thought everything was normal. There was a heart monitor beside me, but it wasn't on. No wires connected to my chest, no IV drip. I tried calling out. Nobody came. There was a clock on the wall across from me. It read 2:17. When I blinked, it ticked once, then stopped. I swung my legs over the side of the bed. My head hurt, but I could stand. The floor tiles were pale green, scratched from years of use. When I looked down the hall through the doorway, I saw fluorescent lights flickering one by one, in a perfect rhythm, like they were taking turns breathing. That's when I noticed something odd. Every door in the hallway was numbered, but the one across from mine, room 14, had no handle, just a keyhole, old-fashioned, like it belonged on a house. I figured I must have been in a smaller hospital, maybe rural, the kind of place you get airlifted to when there's nowhere else closer. There was a reception window near the end of the hall. A woman sat behind it, head tilted down, filling out paperwork. I called out to her. Nothing. When I got closer, she finally looked up. Her smile was polite, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Oh, good. You're awake," she said. "The doctor will see you soon. Please have a seat in the waiting area." Her voice had this flat calmness, like someone reading from a phone script. Sorry," I said. "Do you know what happened?" "I think I was in an accident." "You'll need to speak with the doctor," she repeated. "Please have a seat." Behind her, I could see a calendar pinned to the wall, March 9th, 2004. The edges were curled. When I turned around, the hallway lights flickered again, one by one, leading back to the door I came from. The clock in my room was still frozen at 2:17. I followed the sign toward the waiting area. It wasn't much, just a few old chairs, a coffee table stacked with magazines from years ago. One of the covers showed a missing child poster. I didn't recognize the face, but something about the picture made me uncomfortable, like I'd seen that exact child before. There were others sitting in the room, a woman holding her purse too tight, a man in work clothes staring at the floor, and a kid, maybe 8 or 9, drawing circles on a piece of paper. Nobody spoke. After a while, I asked, "How long have you all been waiting?" The woman looked at me. Her lips moved slowly, like she had to remember how to speak. The doctor's running behind. Then she went quiet again. I sat down, tried to think. The crash, the ambulance, the hospital. It all made sense, except I couldn't remember getting here. That's when the intercom crackled above the door. Static, then a man's voice, distant, hollow, but calm. "Room 14, the doctor will see you now." The woman across from me flinched. The man beside her stood up slowly. He walked down the hall toward that door with no handle. It opened on its own. He went inside. It shut behind him. A few minutes later, the light above room 14 flickered out. I don't know how long I sat there after that. Could have been 10 minutes, could have been hours. Time just flattened. The clock in the waiting area was stuck too. 2:17, same as the one in my room. At some point, the nurse from behind the glass came out. She smiled again, that same rehearsed expression. "Would you like some coffee while you wait?" she asked. It was cold when she handed it to me. Steam rising, but no warmth in the cup. "Where is this hospital exactly?" I asked her. "St. Mercer's Clinic," she said automatically. "We serve the Greater Hollow Creek area." I'd never heard of that place. When I told her, she just nodded once and walked away, her shoes squeaking down the hall until the sound faded completely. That's when I realized something. I couldn't hear anything else. No phones ringing, no footsteps, no carts, no machines, no chatter. Just the faint hum of lights. The kid across the room looked up from his drawing and whispered, "You shouldn't talk so loud, he'll hear you." I tried to smile at him, but my throat felt dry. "Who will?" "The doctor," he said, then went back to drawing circles. I leaned forward, watching him. All the circles were overlapping, like the ripples from a stone dropped in water. Another hour, or maybe a day, passed. People came and went, or at least, I think they did. Sometimes the seats were full, sometimes empty. I started to wonder if I was asleep, still dreaming after the crash. Then the intercom crackled again. "Room 14, the doctor will see you now." This time, it was the woman with the purse. She stood up without a word and walked down the hallway. The door opened before she touched it, closed behind her. Same thing. A few minutes later, the light above room 14 flickered out. The kid whispered again, "She won't come back." I didn't want to ask, but the words came out anyway. "What happens in there?" He didn't look up. He decides. After what felt like forever, the nurse returned. She was holding a clipboard. "Your turn will come soon," she said softly. "The doctor has a very full schedule." "Can I see someone else?" I asked. "A paramedic, maybe. I need to call—" She tilted her head. "Phones are for staff only." Behind her, I caught a glimpse through the glass again. The calendar hadn't changed. Still March 9th, 2004, but the clock on the wall now read 2:18, just 1 minute forward. After all this time. When I blinked, it was back to 2:17. A man came through the entrance doors then, staggering, clutching his side. "Please," he gasped. I think I'm bleeding inside." The nurse smiled at him gently. "Please have a seat," she said. "The doctor will see you soon." He slumped into a chair. Blood dripped onto the tile. No one reacted. The kid didn't even look up. He just turned the paper over and started another drawing, this time not circles, shapes that looked like doors. The man groaned, eyes fluttering. "Help," he whispered. "Someone call—" But before he could finish, the intercom came to life again. "Room 14, the doctor will see you now." And the door opened by itself. The man looked terrified, but his body moved on its own, step by step, toward that room. When he disappeared inside, the nurse walked past me, humming a tune I couldn't place. She stopped at the reception window and marked something on her clipboard. "3 seen," she murmured. "1 remaining." Then she looked up, right at me. "You'll be next." The nurse was gone for a long time after that. The lights flickered every few minutes, long, slow blinks like the building itself was tired. The kid stopped drawing. He folded his paper and tucked it under his seat. Then he whispered without looking at me, "You shouldn't go when he calls. Nobody comes back." "Then how do I leave?" I asked. He shrugged. "You don't." I stood up. My legs trembled, but I walked toward the exit anyway. The glass doors stood just 10 feet away. No one stopped me. I pushed. Nothing. The doors didn't even rattle. They felt solid, like part of the wall. When I turned around, everyone was watching me now. The mother and child, the old man in the corner, even the nurse behind the counter. Their eyes perfectly still. The nurse spoke first. "Sir, please have a seat. The doctor will see you soon." "I don't want to see him," I said. "I want to leave." Her smile never faded. No one leaves without seeing the doctor. I sat down again because what else was there to do? The air smelled different now, antiseptic and something faintly burnt. That's when I noticed the man who'd gone into room 14. He was sitting 2 chairs away. At least I thought it was him, same jacket, same boots. But his face was pale, waxy, like a mannequin left too close to heat, and his eyes empty. He was staring straight ahead, breathing slowly. I whispered, "Hey, are you okay?" No answer. He blinked once, slowly, and a single drop of blood rolled down from his nostril. He didn't move. The nurse didn't even glance up. Then the intercom crackled again, soft and slow. "Room 14. The doctor will see you now." The kid started crying. Not loud, but quietly, that kind of silent sob where no sound comes out, just shaking shoulders. He looked up at me, tears streaking his cheeks. "It's you," he whispered. "He wants you." I tried to stand, but my knees locked. The hallway seemed longer now, stretching far past what I'd seen before. A single light above room 14 flickered red, then white, then red again. "Sir," the nurse said gently, "the doctor is waiting." I don't know why, but I walked. Each step felt heavy, like wading through syrup. The hallway hummed, the walls pulsed faintly, like they were breathing. When I reached the door, I hesitated. The handle was warm. I turned it. The room inside was dark, darker than anything natural. I stepped forward and felt the air change, colder, thicker. Then I heard it, a slow, calm voice from the darkness ahead. "I've been waiting for you." I froze. "I don't understand. Who are you?" "You came here for help," the voice said. "And help is what I offer. But every cure comes with a cost." The lights flickered. For a moment, I saw him, or it. The doctor wore a mask, smooth, featureless, porcelain white. But where the eyes should have been, there were just two black pits that seemed to move on their own, swirling like ink in water. He reached out a hand, impossibly long fingers, sharp as glass. "Let's begin your examination." And before I could react, the door closed behind me on its own. The sound of the door locking behind me was soft, but final, like a breath held too long. The room smelled faintly of rust and old paper. Somewhere in the dark, something clicked. Then a single lamp buzzed to life, dangling above an old metal examination table. The doctor stood beside it. His movements were too smooth, like someone imitating how a human walks. He motioned toward the table. "Please, sit. Let's have a look at you." I didn't move. "What is this place?" I asked. "Why can't I leave?" He tilted his head, slow and deliberate, as if trying to understand the question. Then he said, "You came to us, remember? You made the appointment." I shook my head. "No, I didn't." He turned to a small desk behind him, covered in faded manila folders. He picked one up, flipped it open, and read aloud. "Name, Daniel Holt. Admitted at 11:14 p.m. Complaint, recurring nightmares, auditory hallucinations, fear of confinement." He looked up at me. "That's you, isn't it?" My mouth went dry. I hadn't told anyone about the dreams, about the voices, about how I'd wake up every night at 3:07, gasping for air, certain someone was standing at the foot of my bed. How do you know that?" The doctor didn't answer. He just began writing something in a small leather notebook with a gold-tipped pen. The scratching of ink on paper echoed louder than it should have. Finally, he said, "You've been here before." I froze. "What do you mean?" He turned the notebook toward me. Each page was filled with the same words, written over and over. "Patient insists he has not been here before." Hundreds of lines, same handwriting, same pen, same page number written in the corner. 14. My stomach twisted. This is some kind of trick. The doctor didn't respond. He was watching me. Or at least I thought he was. The black pits in his mask seemed to pull at the air around them. Then, without warning, the lamp above us flickered and went out. Darkness swallowed everything. In that dark, I heard him whisper, right next to my ear, "You keep coming back because you never tell the truth." I stumbled backward, my hand hitting the wall. It felt soft, too soft. When I pressed harder, it sank, warm and pliant, like flesh. A heartbeat thudded faintly through it. Then the light came back on. The doctor was gone. The table was gone. And the room wasn't a room anymore. It was a hallway, identical to the one outside, the same flickering lights, the same humming vents. But this time, the waiting room was empty. Every chair overturned. The clock on the wall melted and warped, its hands ticking backward. I looked down. The paper the kid had been drawing on lay near my feet. I picked it up. It wasn't a drawing anymore. It was a crude sketch of me sitting where he'd been, with the words scrawled beneath, "You're next." I ran for the exit again. The doors were still solid, but this time, something watched from their reflection, Tall, pale, wearing that white mask. I turned around. Nothing. Then I heard the intercom click on, one last time. Room 14. The doctor will see you again now. When the intercom clicked off, I realized I wasn't breathing. The hallway stretched ahead, a perfect copy of the one I'd just escaped. Every detail repeated, like someone had copy-pasted the world and hit loop. At the far end, another door waited. Room 14. My legs moved before my mind could stop them. The sound of my own footsteps filled the silence, uneven, hollow, and wrong. Each echo came back delayed, like someone else was walking just behind me. When I reached the door, I noticed the brass plaque was cracked. The name had been scraped away. Only one word remained beneath it, faintly etched. Discharge. I pushed the door open. Inside was a small office, pale green walls, dusty blinds, and that same old smell of disinfectant and decay. A woman sat behind the desk, typing something onto a yellowed computer screen that flickered like candlelight. Without looking up, she said, "Have a seat, Mr. Holt." Her voice was calm, too calm. I sat, not trusting my voice to answer. She turned to face me then, and for a second, I thought I recognized her. The nurse from before, the one with the clipboard. But her face wasn't the same. The features were sliding, shifting, like they couldn't decide what shape to hold. "You've been here for some time," she said softly. "Do you remember why you came?" "I was driving," I managed. "There was, an accident." She nodded, typing something else into the terminal. The clacking keys sounded like bones snapping under pressure. "And who was with you?" she asked. I froze. The words stuck in my throat. "There was no one," I said. She smiled, but her teeth didn't match the smile. "Are you sure?" The monitor flickered, and for a split second I saw the reflection of my car, crumpled against a guardrail, headlights still burning through the fog. And next to it, a woman's hand pressed against the shattered windshield. A wedding ring. My voice cracked. No, she wasn't." The woman behind the desk stood up. "You keep saying that," she said. "Every time." Her skin rippled, her voice layered with something deeper. Dozens of tones, male, female, whispering, screaming, all at once. "You don't remember because you won't," she said. Then she held out a single paper file and placed it on the desk between us. Patient name Daniel Holt. Status deceased upon arrival. Time of death 11:14 p.m. Cause motor vehicle collision. Accompanying passenger unidentified female DOA. I stumbled backward, shaking my head. No, I talked to her. She called for help. She was... The air shifted. The buzzing lights dimmed to a low red glow. The woman's body began to fracture, splitting into shapes, layers of skin and bone, and memory peeling away. From the shadow behind her desk, the doctor emerged again, his mask gleaming faintly. "You've been in the waiting room ever since," he said. "You keep asking to leave, but you never sign the form." He held out a clipboard. On it, a single sheet of paper. Discharge summary. The undersigned acknowledges death and release from the waiting area. Signature. I backed away, shaking. This isn't real. But the clipboard was already in my hand, my name printed neatly at the top, my handwriting, but my signature already there, the ink still wet. The doctor tilted his head. "You see? You've already done this." The walls began to dissolve. The hospital lights dimmed until they became stars, pinpoints against a void that stretched forever, and in that silence I heard the faint sound of a monitor flatlining, one continuous tone. The doctor's voice came from everywhere. "Some people accept it, others keep coming back." I opened my mouth to speak, but there was nothing left of me to answer, only the echo of footsteps fading down an endless hall. End of the waiting room. A quiet, looping death where guilt becomes eternity.